What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Godspeed ZRZ. As you can already tell from the title, today we're going to dive into something that a lot of people aren't willing to go over. We're going to go over the top 5 things I hate about my Rubicon 392. Just to start, and these are in no particular order. Number 1, the LCD display whenever you start it up thinks it's a Rubicon, just like any other Rubicon. Now, where mine's the 2021, I guess it doesn't have the 392 icon to pop up. The logo does pop up on the Extreme Recon version. I did notice that. It's just one of those features that you just expect. Number 2, since we are on the inside, now you guys know we do have our Off-Road Plus button right there, which is kind of like an off-road sport button. So it actually turns off your traction control and then it leaves you in 4-wheel high. With this, it turns on your front camera the way I have it set up. Now, we do have our off-road pages here, but we do not have our performance pages like a lot of the other SRT cars, which I think would be pretty cool to have in here. In terms of just showing you your horsepower, this, that, the other, obviously we don't need a G-force gauge or anything like that in there, but just some of the basic features you get in a normal SRT car would be pretty cool to have, as well as the off-road pages. And number 3, to go beyond that, as we all know, we've got the part-time 4-wheel drive transfer case here, so it is literally in 4-wheel drive auto at least all the time. And with that being said, the way they have it set up, they gave us the, I believe it's the 2-to-7-2 transfer case, and along with that, we've actually got the CV axles in the front. They don't want people to get out and have 470 horsepower to a rear-wheel drive Wrangler, which makes sense, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're responsible enough to make the money to own this vehicle, you should be responsible enough to be able to drive it in 2-wheel drive. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of this Jeep. Now, number 4 has got to be the speed governor. So from the factory, they're governed to 99 miles an hour. Now, 99 miles an hour in a normal vehicle would be fine, in all honesty. You really don't need to hit triple digits too often. But in this, you get to 99 before you even finish a quarter mile. So, I mean, it doesn't really give you much time to get on it, enjoy it. It seems like as soon as you stomp on it, you hit that speed limiter almost right away. The main reason behind that, like they say, is for the speed rating on the BF Goodrich KO2s or the Wild Peaks that come on it from the factory. But doing a little bit more research, it seems like those tires should be rated at 120 miles an hour with the speed index that they have from the factory. And with that being said, obviously we all know if you're not getting the Extreme Recon, it comes with the 33-inch tires, the same tires that it comes with the normal Rubicon. And with the 2-inch higher ride height from the factory, it just looks ridiculous. It's almost embarrassing to drive around that way. So you almost instantly have to go ahead and waste an extra $2,000 on a set of tires, just waiting for your big tires to come in, your big wheels to come in, simply because it's embarrassing to drive a $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 Rubicon on little baby donut tires. Another thing that a lot of people have brought up, and it's pretty self-evident whenever you do drive it, the paddle shifters here are very, very slow. Even in off-road plus mode, in my honest opinion, just using the slap shift down here is actually faster than the paddle shifters, which kind of defeats the purpose of having them up here. But nevertheless, it's still cool. I'm grateful to have the paddle shifters on it, but we definitely need to figure out a way to get these shifts quite a bit faster from the steering wheel. A lot of these things that I brought up are really, really small inconveniences, but whenever you spend the money on a vehicle like this, especially, you know, one of the most off-road capable vehicles that's ever been produced, there are certain expectations that I had going into it, and it doesn't seem like all of them have been met. Now, that being said, there are a few extra little things. I really think that they could have styled the 392 a bit more aggressive, just to make it set itself apart from the rest of, you know, the Jeeps. Now, this is obviously not like any other Jeep they've made before, and I think the styling on it could have been a bit more aggressive. And with that being said, one of the biggest inconveniences I've noticed with this Jeep is literally pulling up anytime to a gas station, anything like that. They hear it, they're like, what the heck is that? And aside from having to explain it, you know, most people that just don't know Jeeps are really not going to know what this is. So you have to sit there and tell them, hey, listen, this is a 392 6.4. Most of them don't even know what that means. But you tell them basically it's a V8 and a Wrangler, and they're like, oh, who did that for you? And you have to explain that you got it from the factory that way. But I think they could have really approached this a little bit more aggressively in terms of the exterior styling and even on the interior. I mean, really and truly, it looks like a Sahara interior aside from the bronze stitching and the Rubicon 392 stitched into the seats here. Aside from that, it's just like basically a Sahara. I would have at least liked to seen a bronze dash here like we have on the Rubicon where it's red. I think it would have been cool if they did this in bronze, but I guess they wanted to keep it a little bit more mild to appeal to more people. So aside from those minor drawbacks and the traction control being way too aggressive whenever it's not an off-road plus or before you turn off traction control, anytime you try to pull out, it literally feels like a Prius. It just won't let it, you know, open up because it's literally doing a 4-tire fire, which is cool, but nevertheless, it really draws back the power. And I think they could have tuned back that traction control a little bit more, but like we say, I guess they're just trying to meet safety regulations and make sure they don't get in too much trouble for this thing. And I will say, I've complained about the exterior styling not being as aggressive as what it could be or should be, but one thing they could have changed very, very easily would have simply just been to give us an angled top here. An angled hardtop, which on the JLs hasn't been done yet, would definitely be like a standout factor. It would really be something that could set it apart from the other Rubicons, the other JLs that they have out right now. Even something that small, that simple, would have been enough to make me happy. I know a lot of people have similar expectations whenever you get into a vehicle of this class, and I just basically want to put it out there because there's not many people that are willing to talk about it yet. Here's a look at the Camaro all broken down. If any of you guys have been watching my Camaro rebuild videos, we got it stripped down pretty far. I haven't recorded everything simply because a lot of the stuff is kind of redundant after a certain point, but we've got it stripped down pretty well so far. We're really just waiting on some of the extra parts to come in. We got our axle in the other day. We got pretty much everything out that we can. Everything on this side that needs to be taken out. And we're really just waiting for most of our suspension components, our control arms to come in, and then we'll be all good to go. And that's it for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Are these inconveniences anything that would hold you back from getting this vehicle? Some people say they are, some people say they aren't. But until next time, just take it easy.